and pen ready to write down key nuggets and post your questions, like I said, using the chat feature. This month, the focus is on you. The focus is on you and your personal brand. Who are you, and what does your brand communicate about you to others without interaction with you? What makes you stand out from the pack? These and other great questions will be explored in today's webinar. Our host today is Kemi Akindutire. Kemi Akindutire describes herself as an enabler who helps individuals and organizations effectively execute their vision and mission. She's a senior manager in human resources management with over 16 years experience. She has leveraged her strengths in administration, in project management, and leadership in supporting various corporate and nonprofit organizations over the years. She also serves as a board member on multiple nonprofit organizations. She is a certified project management professional and an executive coach. Kemi loves reading, journaling, writing, and most importantly, spending quality time with her husband and two daughters. Our panelists for today are Paula Brand and Adedoyin Omotara. Paula Brand is the founder of Brand Career Management with a passion for empowering mid-career to executive women. BCM helps professionals strategically transition and manage their careers, apply effective job search techniques, and leverage social media tools to secure their best career options with ease. In 2014, Paula was honored to receive two industry awards, the Maryland Career Development Association, MCDA Outstanding Career Practitioner Award, and the Professional Contributions Award from the Middle Atlantic Career Counseling Association, MACCA. Paula loves to travel, connect with others, be among nature, and eat ice cream. Paula is working on a book to help others work through a career transition and hopes to be a published author someday soon. Our next panelist is Adedoyin Omotara. She is a beauty entrepreneur, a women's empowerment advocate, a speaker, a life coach, and business coach. Born in Manchester, United Kingdom to Nigerian parents, her passion to lead a full and more expressive life made her leave her successful corporate engineering career to become a beauty entrepreneur and women's empowerment advocate. I will now hand over to our host, Kemi.
All right, thank you, thank you. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
All right, thank you, and welcome again to our panelists for today. Thank you, Dolapo, for that awesome introduction, and welcome to all of our participants today. We are looking forward to an amazing session. I just encourage you to sit back, just relax and really just pay attention, because our speakers today, our panelists today are loaded. And I'm personally interested in this topic because I know personal branding has been out there for so long, and for recently, more recently than even before that. I'm just curious about what we're gonna hear today. So again, I'm very, very excited to be here, and welcome to everyone. So I'm gonna just start off and go straight to the point. Our panelists here are ready to share a lot of nuggets with us, but I just would like for you, Doyin and Paula, if you can please just, take just 1 minute to just share a little bit more about yourselves, a little bit about your journey, and how you have become an expert around this concept of personal branding. So I'm just gonna start with you, Paula. If you can just share, in less than a minute.
Sure. Camille, first of all, let me thank you for having me on today and your group, and also thank you for the very nice introduction. I would just add to what was already said that I'm a career coach and consultant and LinkedIn expert and trainer. And my knowledge about branding has really sort of grown reluctantly over the years. I've hesitated to call myself a branding expert, but inevitably over the years of working on my business, it's so obviously an integral part of your career management that it's sort of inevitable. And honestly, I get asked a lot if my name is really Brand, and it is. I married someone named Brand, and but even that, as silly as it sounds, is very sort of self-fulfilling because people just expect me to be an expert on branding since my name is Brand. But obviously, I have increased my expertise over the years from reading books and learning from others. And I'm happy to share that information with you today.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Looking forward to, again, an amazing session. And from hearing to just hearing a little bit more, especially around that, the professional side around, how to brand yourself in the workplace. So looking forward to that. Donnie, do you want to share just, again, your journey? I'd like to hear.
All right. My name is Adedoyo Matara, and thanks for having me. Like, I am so excited to be here. So to be honest, I didn't even know what personal branding is for a long, like I didn't know there was something called personal branding.
Mm.
However, I was leaving out personal branding. So people started reaching out to me. Can you come speak on personal branding? I just want to know how you've been able to brand yourself. And I remember another person also said, oh, I love the way you're building your business and you're also building a
Mm.
personal brand. And I'm like, oh, really? Okay, is that a thing? And then I now started looking back and started saying, oh, I see. I even went online to look at the definition of personal branding, and I'm like, this is what I've been doing. I just didn't call it a name, right? And
Wow.
and in fact, I'm currently writing a book
Yeah.
um,
Wow.
that has a lot to do with my own personal story, how I've built the different businesses that I'm doing, and how everything is all heart centered, soul centered, has nothing to do with traditional business marketing, traditional, researcher competition and all of those things. And it's more of, coming from who I am. Yeah, and basically that was how I became a personal branding expert.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You were doing it and you had no idea that you
I
were
had no
doing.
idea that I was doing it. Yeah. And and really you just really want to, you don't need to tell people that, yeah, this is who I am. They need to see it,
Yes.
right? Yeah,
Yes.
it just has to
Yes.
flow out. Yeah.
So looking forward to hearing, the things you've learned, your wins, the opportunities you've had to grow, right? Through that journey, I can imagine you've had some highs and lows. So looking forward to that, really. And, just amazing the stuff you're doing, with your brand. So again, great job there. So we're going to just go right into it, right? Very quickly, we're going to go into our first question for today. I'd like to encourage everybody to use the chat box to ask questions as we go along. You will have an opportunity to ask questions. We'll have an opportunity to ask the panelists questions later. So as the questions come to you, feel free to engage in the chat room so that we can capture those questions sooner than later. So let's start. So speaking of personal branding, speaking of, hey, you might be doing it and you just don't know that, you might not even know that you're doing it because, as I was doing some research, I found out that we all have a brand. The question is, what kind of brand are you projecting? What are you really projecting what you want people to see? So tell us, yes, this has become what is it really? So now that you've discovered what it is, whether intentionally or not, what is it and why should we really care about it? And so I'm going to start with you, Paula.
Okay, thank you. And well, you stole my word because reputation was actually going to be what I would say. A lot of times people think personal branding is fancy or it's hard to connect with because they think of it as corporate branding, and there's similarities, but personal branding really is basically, if you boil it down to one word, it's your reputation. And that can be how people see you, obviously, how you show up. Like, are you the person who can always be counted on? That's a brand. Are you the person who always comes late to the meeting? That's a brand, right? So it could be positive or negative, but just by your actions, as Doyen mentioned, just by doing, you create a brand. And I would have to agree with Doyen that, I wasn't seeking out to become a branding expert. I was seeking out to become a LinkedIn expert and a career counseling expert. But it sort of happened naturally. And I think the reason it matters so much is because if people don't know what you're all about, what you can do, what you're like, what's important to you, which again encompasses all of your personal branding, then two things don't happen. They don't think of you when opportunities come into play, where if they knew you better, they might think, oh, that Paula, we should bring her in, right? like the way I got to you, Camille, was someone I work with at the bank said, oh, you should talk to Paula. She's a branding person. And I said to her, I'm not really a branding person, but okay, I guess I am. So that was my brand at work, my reputation at work. So if you don't put your brand out there, opportunities won't come to you that would be really well aligned with your brand. So that affects also helping achieve your goals. It's one of those things, an example where if you don't tell people what you're shooting for, I was a little, nervous about having in my bio today. I think this is my first time I put in the bio that I'm writing a book and trying to publish it, because that's kind of scary. But I bet by just putting that out there today, someone's going to react to it, and then it's going to grow, and then it'll just help reinforce that goal, because now everyone on this call knows that's a goal. So maybe someone might write to me and say, hey, I know a great editor. So that's why I think personal branding is important, because one, you want your reputation to be good. So that's part of it. But the other is that things won't come back to you or come towards you or be attracted to you if it's not clear what your brand is.
Wow. Thank you. As you were sharing that, what came to mind for me is, what really struck me was, don't cover up your goals, your dreams, who you are. The scripture in the Bible that talks about, the bushel covering your light. If you don't take that bushel off, nobody will see it. It will not shine. And so for you to shine, your brand you must project yourself and project your vision, project your dream, project your work, so that people can know and see and grow from it. Awesome. Beautiful. Thank you so much. Now, I just want to take that a little bit further with you, doing. Paula did an awesome job also giving some examples about how the impact it has in the workplace as professionals. But you've also built an amazing brand within a very short time period. I was reading your bio and I was like, wow. For your business. So can you tell us a little bit, about the difference between, building your personal brand and your business brand? What are the differences? Can it be commingled? Is it separate? Should it be separate? How do we navigate through that?
Okay, so can you all hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right. So, I went to a mini business school just before I started my brand, and they were telling us all about research your competition, know your target audience. Where are they? I mean, where do they shop? What do they do? What are they thinking in their head? Those are the questions that they will tell you to go through when you're trying to build a brand. You really need to know who they are, what are they thinking, and all of that. But then at the same time, I was also going through a personal discovery, season, a self-discovery season, where I was learning a lot about myself. And I knew that what I was building was a soul-centered business, not necessarily a random business where I just want to make money, right? So if you want to make money, you can decide, oh yeah, I want to research my target audience. And I'm like, I am my own target audience, right? I want women to discover themselves, just like this personal discovery process that I'm going through. I want women to do that so that they can create something, beautiful with that discovery, right? And I just poured myself into the brand, Adoya. So when you see the brand, you already see me. It aligns with my values, with my personal values. It aligns everything that we do, aligns with my strengths, like who I am. So, I've had people ask me that, who does your marketing? Like, you're always doing videos. And I'm like, those things come naturally to me. Like, wow. I would, speak. I would, of course, some of those things were things that I didn't know I had before. When I was working in corporate, I knew that I could like do presentations on projects.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I didn't see myself as a speaker, right? I never did until I started discovering myself, and I'm like, I like to talk. I know I can speak, and I just started refining it. You know, you see me in front of the mirror, just talking, 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 and with time, I just started discovering the message I wanted to put out there for women, and that's basically what everything I do, revolves around. So for me, I would say before even thinking of any business, I'm talking from business angle, before even thinking of building any business or even getting a job anywhere. In fact, I wish I did this when before I even entered university, or maybe shortly after university before getting jobs. Because when you know yourself, you are able to bring the whole of yourself into any job, into any business that you're doing, and it's just going to be different, right? It's not about even looking at your competitors. You start to create. That's it. When you understand who you are, you align everything you're doing with your values, with your strengths, um with personality, and with your story. Your story is part of who you are. If you're able to put all of that together and come up with a strong mission statement for yourself, then all you need to do is just start to create. You get very creative. You leave that competitive lane, whether you're at work or you are building a business. You leave that competitive lane and you start to create. And that's really the biggest, the most mind-blowing part of personal branding for me, because you're not bothered about what is happening around you. I remember when COVID started, and people were calling me, "Oh, don't you? So you have to close your store?" And I didn't even think about it. I was just like, Adonia is not the store. It's not the store.
Wow.
Like, there's so much that we offer beyond the store. The store is to build a community, but it's not the store. And
Wow.
it won't just affect you, because as long as your life is not taken from you, your personal brand is a superpower. Basically, it is your superpower. And when you build anything, so I call it me incorporated. When you incorporate yourself and you brand yourself, then you can flow out of that into the different things you want to do. For instance, I run Adonia, which is a beauty company where we empower women. We do makeup, hair, lashes, brows, and all of that. I also do business coaching for people, and I tell people, the only kind of business coaching I know how to coach is heart-centered businesses. So you see me also helping people to build a personal brand and create that business from that personal brand. Also, I do
Wow.
something called Kingdom Wives, where women come together to know, like, what God has proposed them to be as a wife, and stop looking around at all the divorces and all the things. Who are you? When you own that identity, even your husband will start to see you in a different way, in a different light. So it affects every area of your life:
Wow.
business, marriage, health. It affects everything. When you understand who you are, you take care of yourself.
Yes.
You will take care of yourself because you see the vision ahead of you. You don't want to be walking like this and be trying to fulfill the vision, right? You're going to take care of your health. So it affects
Yes.
every area of your life.
Wow. Wow. Beautiful. Wow. That was loaded. Where do I start? Important, knowing yourself, right? The core of who you are is what's most critical. And I love what you said. Once you still have life, once you know yourself, you've discovered who you are, you know what your values are, then you build your brand around that. And so nothing, even if the world is shaking, even if the economy is crashing, you can still create. It's kind of like the key to creation. Amazing. Amazing. You said so much there. I'm still marinating there, but I wanted to push it a little bit further with Paula. Can and Doyin, you touched on a couple of foundational items, which to me, the foundation of knowing yourself, self-discovery is very critical. But Paula, can you share, just go a little bit further? You've talked about your reputation as being one, very important, self-discovery. Is there anything you'd like to share around, building that personal brand? What are the steps that I need to take if I want to really build my brand? Yes, discover myself. Is there anything that you like to add to that?
Sure. Yeah, because when you say discover yourself, some people don't really understand what that means. Some people do, and it means different things to different people. So I would say, in terms of branding, I think that really goes to knowing who the core of who you are. Kind of like Dwayne was saying, she's all about beauty and helping others look good, helping herself look good. It's all it's clear. I can understand from what she's saying how she went through that kind of discovery of herself. So I think self-discovery is hugely important because it's hard to create a message if you don't know what the message is around. And the other thing is we're all different things. We might be wives and mothers and coworkers and colleagues and bosses, but where do you want to focus? Because you can't really be everything to everyone. That's not effective personal branding. You do have to kind of zero in and anchor yourself somewhere. And then the other reason I'd say self-discovery is important is because what you think your reputation is might not actually be what other people think your reputation is. So there's an element of validation or feedback that is important because you can't really come up with your brand in a vacuum. You have to, it's a give and take process, just as Dwayne was saying, and it kind of ebbs and flows. And originally I wanted to be a resume writer when I started my business, and very quickly realized that was not the brand I was going for. That was not the type of work I wanted to do, and pivoted into becoming a LinkedIn expert and spent many years building that up, and it's still helping. And that's another thing, is this isn't like a once and done. It evolves over your lifetime, and it's like never totally done because you might change. So eventually in the past 2 years, I thought, I still love LinkedIn, but I really have realized I love working with mid-career women. And so that is my passion. And so I'm going to focus and gravitate more to things that have to do with empowering those women. And so I consciously tried to change my brand, and just did that in little ways. But to get back to your point, I think feedback is the most important. I mean, honest self-assessment, but it involves feedback from other people without a doubt. And one great tool that I've used a few times and probably need to do it again, there's something called the Reach 360. And I will Google it and put it in the chat box. Well, I put Reach 360, but I know it's not like reach360.com. I think it's something like Reach CC. I can cut and paste it, but it's a tool that's free. You can upgrade, but at the basic process, it's free. And what it allows you to do is to send this assessment, which is pretty quick. It's like 4 questions, and you send it to people and they respond, and you can hire someone who is trained to interpret it, or you can interpret it yourself. But it's pretty clear. Like the first question, there's maybe 80 words, and the person can only pick 6. And then the second section is, a bunch of skills, maybe 50 skills or something, and then they can only pick 5 or 6. And so it forces them to pare down what they see as most integral to you. And then there's a couple other funny questions, like if you were an appliance, what would you be? If you were a dog, what would you be? If you were a car, what type of car would you be? And people say about me, I'm reliable, I'm efficient, so a Prius or something like that. And of course, I'm not a Prius, but it gives you a sense of how people picture you. And so I think that's a really helpful tool because it can help you see things that you don't see. That's the other thing. Sometimes your greatest strength you don't even see. Like Dwayne was saying, people are like, how do you do this? She's like, it just comes naturally. But you don't realize that until you get that feedback that doesn't come naturally to everyone else. And then you start to realize, oh, maybe that is a superpower.
Awesome.
So,
wow.
Yeah, and if you want to just do it informally, you could just ask 10 close people, what are the top 5 words you would use to describe me? And that's also effective.
And probably very revealing and insightful. And so you might hear some things that are scary, right? That might not be aligned with your the brand you want to project. And then it gives you the insight you need to make some changes. And then you have to do the work, right?
Exactly. So you might find that you do need to rebrand, possibly because the brand you are known for right now is not the way you want to be, or you just are choosing to change. Like I didn't suddenly, want to not be seen as a LinkedIn expert, but I wanted to be seen more as a woman who focuses on empowering women. Yes.
Totally resonate. So let's shift gears a little bit and talk about a little bit to feedback here, but social media, right? So many times when you think of branding, you think of social media, you think, and that's where a lot of it probably happens. I'm not an expert, but correct me here, but there's a huge connection there, and especially in this day and age, right? So I'm going to pass this on to Dorian. Can you share, like, what's the connection between your personal brand and leveraging social media? What opportunities are there? What should we leverage? What are the downfalls? What are the things we need to be careful about? Because it could have I'm assuming it has its pros and cons. So share a little bit about how you can leverage social media or not in evolving, refining, defining your personal brand.
Okay, so social media is a very powerful tool right now, as we all know. And I personally believe that the people that get the best out of social media are people that have actually branded themselves very well. If you are living, separate lives, outside of social media, you know how social media can be. If somebody finds out, somebody's just going to call you out, and before I mean, some people trend on negative press, so that's okay. But as Christian women, we really want to put out who we are, right? So I believe so much that for in every media or anywhere you are being represented. So my social media platforms, I believe I am being represented, right? Whether it's my business or my personal page, I am being represented. I am not going to, and I'm just going to be myself, right? And from being yourself, being, the brand that you are, you just see people wanting to collaborate with you. And because, especially people that have the same values, now you don't need to say, this is who I am. They just see it, right? I've gotten lots of collaborations just via social media without knowing people, without even talking about who I am, and a lot of times it's usually the first for me. But I'm like, what did this person see that made them call me, right?
Yep.
So the time I was called to speak at a church. Now, I've never spoken at a church before. So I was called to speak at a church. It was a very big church, and it was a white dominated church. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to speak to these women? It was one of they have 4 big events every year, and this was their Christmas outreach event. So the theme was spread your sparkle. And they said, oh, somebody heard me speak at a women's event, and the person apparently was one of the people that one of the committee in the church. And you're like, I know a lady, she's a Christian, she's speaking beautifully well at a women's conference, business conference. I think she would do well. You should check her out online. So the first thing is Google brings Facebook page, your LinkedIn page, your YouTube page. So apparently they stumbled into all of this, watched all my Unmask Your. I do a series called Unmask Your Beauty series where I interview women, and they're like, that just flows into a spread your sparkle message. And that was it. So, and then I started to prepare, and after then I've gotten lots of, invitations also to churches, to business events, and everything is all around my core message of woman, find your gifts, develop your gifts. This is who you are. There's a huge message in your story. You have values. Can you just discover them? You have strength. There are things you are personally passionate about. Not me, but you are passionate about, and there are reasons you're passionate about them. Why don't you bring all of that together, develop your gifts, and push out your personal brand, and that's basically the message I share all the time, whether I'm teaching wives, whether I'm teaching children, whether I'm teaching makeup, whatever I'm teaching, it's all the same message of, even when people come to makeup, I'm like, how do you want to look? Right? Don't just come and show me a picture like how do you want to look? How do you want to be represented? Right? So it's cut across everything. It's just one message, and it just flows through everything that I do. I hope I answered your question.
Yes. In consistency lies power. That's one of the sayings I really like. Like, I want to, if I go to look for Adedoyin, if I go to your business site, I want to see the same message. And that is where the authentic you comes out, right?
Absolutely.
All right. So I want to shift into the workplace for a moment, like from a career perspective. So Paul, I'm going to shift gears over to you, but I want to encourage our participants. We need you to ask questions. I'm going to move quickly into a Q&A segment, and it's important for you to post your questions in the chat group, in the chat room section, so that our team can capture those questions so that we can address them. We want to make sure we cover, what are the things that are coming up in your mind? What are you curious about? What do you want to ask Dwayne? What do you want to ask Paula? So please, if you're on YouTube, please, post your questions in the chat section. If you are on Zoom, please do the same. All right, thank you. Let's move quickly into, our career professionals. So, I can relate to this because most of my life is, in the corporate world, so to say. So if I'm starting my career, or I'm starting a new role, or I'm trying to shift I'll change my reputation in the workplace. So what do you, aside from, I think you've talked about feedback, capturing feedback using some of the tools, what can I do, with things like mentoring, sponsorship, things like that? What can I do in the workplace to ensure that I consistently have this positive, right? Is there anything unique about, your brand in the workplace versus, as a business owner or outside of work? What can I do to enhance it and make sure I have that positive experience or positive brand in the workplace? Paula?
Sure. Well, I think there will be some opportunities in the workplace that will be unique to the workplace, like joining a task force on some topic that's coming up and timely for the workplace, or like you mentioned, mentoring, sponsorship, or even volunteering through your employer for a local nonprofit, right? So all of those things could be specific to workplace. But the truth is, I think no matter whether you're in the workplace or outside of the workplace, the secret sauce per se for branding is the same, which is, and I'm going to quote William Arruda here, and I'm going to mention two books because William Arruda talked about it many years ago when no one else was, and he talks about the 3 C's: clarity, consistency, and constancy. And I think that those are really key. Again, no matter what's in the workplace or outside of the workplace, you have to be clear. And I think in the workplace, that's probably more important because everyone's so busy that you have to really have a succinct way to quickly describe what you're about. And whether it's at a meeting, online, in person, at a social work event, or a business, work event, you do have to be clear. And part of that goes to also, not in person, on social media and things like that you already mentioned, but the in-person has to be clear. And then consistency. So as you just mentioned earlier too, your message can't be one thing on your Facebook page and then a different thing on your Twitter, and then your, there has to be, you can be multiple things, but there has to be some consistency of your message for people to get it. It's just too busy a world that people, if you don't pare it down and keep repeating it, people just miss it. And then constancy that could be 2 things, but it mainly means the long haul. It's not like 1 month, I'm going to post on LinkedIn once a week for a month and expect great things to happen. You have to definitely do it longer, and having some sort of constancy of, every Monday, once a month, I will message, but now you're talking about 12 times instead of 4 times. Those are really the three keys, I'd say, to branding, no matter what type of branding. Even corporate branding has to be that way.
Yep. Awesome. Clarity, consistency, and constancy. Clarity, that is very, thank you. That the secret sauce. So if you didn't get anything, clarity, consistency, and constancy. And you said something that kind of triggered another question in my mind. So, LinkedIn, for instance, is very, career professional related, so to say. I know the business professionals that, are out there, and Facebook seems to have a different, almost like kind of crowd, or it draws a different um, audience, so to say, and Instagram, totally different story. So, and I'm trying to be constant across the board, right? And I want to put my, best foot forward, so to say, in all these places, but also cater to what these audiences are. Is there any difference between what's okay to, how I should engage on LinkedIn, for instance, versus like a more social platform like Facebook or Instagram? Like, any insight on that?
Yes, I think that's a great point that some people miss. And the main thing is that LinkedIn is a professional social media site.
Yep.
It's really only meant for professional purposes. You're not posting your vacation pics. You're not saying, "Oh, I'm pregnant." Like none of that's really appropriate on LinkedIn. It's really all about professional. Like, I was at this conference, I just learned this new tool. Here's a great article about my business line. Now, that's not to say there can't be good branding and networking on Facebook and Instagram, YouTube, things like that. But I would say you definitely have to be more careful and conscientious in all of the social media settings or sites. I would say make sure your settings are, your privacy settings are appropriate for what you're trying to do. If you're in job search, you really don't want everything they're doing public, probably, or inappropriate things. But you could post on Facebook like, "I'm looking for a job," kind of thing, but I would never recommend that on LinkedIn, right? But you're right, it is different, because on Facebook it's probably a few hundred of my my friends, as opposed to my colleagues and business partners. So so different sites have different cultures, as you mentioned, and different things are appropriate. But overall, I would say for your professional brand, you really only have to be on LinkedIn. The other sites can be useful for different reasons. And for some professions, like if you're a photographer or a graphic designer or something very visual, then Instagram is going to be better for you, and maybe even Pinterest. So the different sites you will frequent might change depending on your profession. But overall, across industries, across the world, I'd say LinkedIn is the strongest professional site at the moment.
Got it. Thank you. All right. We are going to shift into, what I think we've touched on this a little bit, but Donya, I want to kind of go a little bit further on this. You talked about the multi-influential flow, and I'll just be vulnerable here, and I'm like, what does that really mean, right? And you've talked about the importance of your core, and how and your understanding who you are and how that flows into your brand. Is there anything else you want to share about this, to help our audience to really discover and get into that flow, so to say, as we have it here?
Thank you for that question. And I know Paula had also mentioned that you can be multiple things. And to be honest, I struggled with that. I was like, I'm a makeup artist. I can only do Adonia, right? Like, and there were so many other things pulling me. So many people were coming to ask me how to set up their own businesses, how to, just things they saw me, being successful at. They wanted to know how to do it. And I was like, but I'm a makeup artist. So there's a way we can restrict ourselves, because we just think purpose is one thing, right? Even when I was looking at your own bio, Kemi, I saw that you put you're an enabler, right? Now, being an enabler, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to only work in EPR, only work with women. That means wherever you are enabling people. So it's part of the core of who you are, right? And you can then use that to influence different spheres of you can use that in different spheres of influence, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be that you're just doing one thing. I struggled with that for a bit until one of my coaches started talking about multi-influential flow, and I'm like, okay, now you get me. This is where I am. I know that I want to do different things, but this thing just keeps telling me, but this is who you are. This is what you're supposed to be doing. No, this is not what you're supposed to be doing. So I believe that purpose is not one thing. Purpose is just that central theme that runs through your life, through everything that you do, whether you're a career person and you're also doing business on the side, or it is that one thing. So once you discover, that, I mean, it is not one thing. So once you discover that central theme that runs through everything that you do, if you might be a catalyst, for instance, you might be an equiper. It might be that everything you're doing, like most times things I do, I mostly equip people. Like I'm like, I'm going to equip you to run your business, through your personal brand. I'm constantly equipping kids, equipping teenagers, equipping. So I define myself as an equiper. You have defined yourself as an enabler, right? So it's not just in one thing, it's in different things. And that's where the multi-influential flow, came about. Like, you can be so many things because it is just who you are. You can be passionate about. Before, I used to think I was only going to be reaching out to women. It's all about women. Yes, my Adonia ministry is into women, but right now I'm finding out another passion for kids, and I started something called Kingdom Teenagers, and it's all about also equipping them for the kingdom, right? Helping them understand who they are in Christ, and basically just equipping them, teaching them. It's a 4-week program, and by the time they're done with it, they are searching the scriptures themselves. I'm not going to babysit you that let's now read all the 66 chapters in the Bible. No, but with how I would have equipped them in the first 4 weeks, they are hungry. They become hungry to learn more. If you get what I mean. So I'm constantly equipping people. And that's what I find, and that's really what I mean by the multi-influential flow.
Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And I think that really hits on the point, that you made earlier around, when COVID hit, you were not shaken, right?
No,
Again, it goes because there's so many things, Doreen can do. And so just because everybody sees you as, a beautician or a beauty entrepreneur doesn't mean that that's all you are. Absolutely. And it's just very powerful to see some of the other amazing things you're doing. So ladies, as we equip ourselves and everything, define your core, right? Understand it, be grounded in your core. There's a hot topic on my question list. So I'm going to move into questions before I kind of bring us back home, so to say, because I think we've touched on a lot of the questions that we actually plan to ask. But LinkedIn has come up a lot, Paula. And so I'm going to combine a number of questions. And so bear with me here as I kind of talk through it. So basically it's around, what are those when you're thinking of personal branding and LinkedIn, what can you do to improve your personal brand on LinkedIn is one, what are the no-nos, right? The things that really are major errors that should not be seen on LinkedIn, because I think this is an area in which people really want to build their brand, and then how do you get people to recognize you, how do you engage them, what offerings, what messages, especially if you run a business, right? So you might be a professional, you might also be dual-hearted, right? You might run a side business, and I believe you've done that, you've lived that, right? So how do you manage that and continue to have that, kind of present that positive, brand, so to say, on LinkedIn? And what are those things that you really want to make sure that doesn't taint your reputation as a professional on LinkedIn? And so they're all similar questions. They're like 4 questions, but I feel like they're all similar. So if you can just handle them together, that would be great. You're on mute.
Yep, sorry, I'll do my best. And if I don't, just bring me back in. And
I will bring you back in.
Someone sent me a question privately that I would like to just have a moment to address at some point too.
Sure. Absolutely.
Sure. So I would say the keys to improving your LinkedIn profile, really, it comes down to a couple things. It really comes down to keywords, and it might sound unusual, but LinkedIn is really just one big database. And when people use it to search for other people, to present opportunities, to engage, collaborate, things like that, or someone's just researching like who's an expert on makeup and they put in the word makeup expert, right? That's how you're found on LinkedIn. It's really about keywords. So that's important, but it's also, some keywords are more important than others. Like on my headline, which is right underneath your name on LinkedIn, you have 120 characters to use. And that's the most heavily weighted field on LinkedIn. And so if you look at mine, you'll see I have global career coach, and I have people who have said, oh, that's how I found you. I typed in global career coach and you came up, in the results. Wow. There's a phrase at the end of my headline that says, empowering mid-career women in their careers or something. It might not have the exact word, but that's the weakest part of my headline, because no one's searching for the word empowerment. So no one's searching for the word women, but that's more for the human eye, because right away you see, oh, she cares about women. Right. So it's not to be found so much by potential clients who maybe want to hire me to come speak, or individuals who want to hire me for career work. So that's keyword. I mean, you can't say it enough. It's true for applicant tracking systems in order to get through those systems, but it's also equally true for LinkedIn and being found. In terms of engagement, you can post updates. Like I posted something this week saying, hey, I'm looking forward to being on the EPR Women's Network this weekend with Camille, and I made sure to tag Camille and Doyen, and I made sure to tag because I knew we would be two panelists. I'd never even met Doyen until this morning, but I made a point to tag her. I sent her a connection on LinkedIn. So those are some of the ways that you can engage. Just posting a quick update, sharing information is huge. Like if there's an article you found really helpful, probably other people in your field will also find it helpful. And they'll see you as someone someone who shares information, as opposed to someone who hoards information. That's a type of brand. In terms of no-nos, I would say never talk badly about other people. Never say mean things publicly, whether it's on LinkedIn or any other social media website. That's not going to get you anywhere, unless that's the brand you want, is a nasty person who says bad things about people. And so I think nothing negative and nothing too personal. So on LinkedIn, I say you can be somewhat personal. There's a section called the About section, used to be called the Summary section, and you have 2,000 characters there. So it's a lot of space. And I always caution people to not put things about their family, because in reality, if you say something like, oh, I love, like your bio, Camille said, I know you have two children, right? On the LinkedIn profile, someone might use that against you. Like, oh, if her children are sick, is she going to call out? And it's ageism, sexism. I mean, there's lots of isms out there. And sometimes if you reveal too much personal information, it might be used against you. At the same time, you kind of have to decide what you want to be known for. So I know this is a Christian women's group. And so I know that Christianity is very important to everyone who's a part of this group. And you might want to wear that badge on your sleeve, and you might not care that it might affect, some people might not be attracted to that or might be repelled by it, right? Someone who's maybe not religious or of a different faith. So I think you have to think about, why am I revealing this? You don't want to get too personal, just for reasons that if you're looking to be hired, right? I think you have to be careful about what you put out there that's personal. Like, you're not going to say, like, I hurt my back last year and I was in bed for 6 months. No, you're not going to say that, because everyone's going to be like, oh, I don't want another workers' comp case, right? So you have to be, you're not lying, you're just being strategic about what you're putting out there. So nothing too personal, nothing really negative or mean-hearted towards other people. And keywords. I think those are probably the most important points. Yeah. Awesome. Did I miss something?
I think those are the big ones. What do you need to do? What do you do? Should you not do? How do you build your reputation? I think that's great. And I think, one of the things that you shared is just so profound about it's one of the things that when I think of a professional platform like this, or like LinkedIn or anywhere, or even at work, when you want to project what you want people to see first. Does that make sense? Like, you want them to make their decisions based on what is related to what you want them for, what you want them to see. So for instance, if you want a job, you want them to assess your qualifications, your abilities and all that, and not be distracted by the other stuff.
Exactly. That's a good way to
Does
put
that
it.
make sense? And
It does.
and now could those other things come out later? That's fine. But at first, the first
Right.
impression to bring them in is what you're talking about here, right? To say if
Mhm.
they're gonna know you're a mom, or you have two kids or whatever later, that's fine. But at first they want to know, hey, she's a professional, she's project management certified, she has X number of years of experience,
Exactly.
and things
The
like
first
that.
thing. Yep.
Yeah.
You got it.
Okay. Sounds
And
good.
can I add one other point?
Absolutely.
That when you become strong in your brand, you have to accept that everyone's not going to like it, and that's okay. And you're not going to appeal to everyone, and that's okay. So if you put yourself out there, like I know some colleagues who put themselves out there as a Christian career coach. That is how they brand themselves.
Yep.
So, I'm guessing that they attract a lot of Christian clients, right? Because someone sees that, oh, she'll be able to identify with me, she'll relate to me, and that's fine. And then other people will be like, nope, that's not. I don't want I don't want to mix religion with my profession. I don't want a career coach who's focused on that, and that's okay too. So just realize that you can be multiple things, as Doyen said, but you don't really want to try to be everything to everyone. And the stronger your brand, the more repulsive it might be to some people. Like the stronger it is, the more attraction you get, and the more push you might get from others.
Yeah, I love that, and I think it just hones it into who's your ideal audience, who are you catering to, who are you speaking to, who are you trying to influence, and who are you trying to sell to, right? And it's not everybody. So I'm gonna, this is great. Thank you so much. You're demystifying LinkedIn for us here. We have a question from our YouTube audience, and thank you for engaging with us. And this is for, I'll go with you, Doing, first, and then, Paula, if you have anything to add, you can. Is it true that our hairstyle and our clothes, I'm trying to read it here, and our clothes are part of our personal brand? If so, does that mean we can't change our hairstyle? And this is something that is a reality, a real challenge for us in the workplace. You cut your hair, you have different hairstyles. Those of us of African descent, we have different hairstyles and we change it a lot, right? Because we love to change our hair and it's beautiful, right? So does that impact our personal brand? Does that mean I can't change my hairstyle and I can't decide to cut my hair today and have it long tomorrow?
So I still believe it still goes back to who you are, and a lot of your personality traits and even your behavioral patterns is basically rooted in your culture, right? Back home in Africa, we make hair like every month. We constantly change our hair. That's how we grew up. So if you are still convinced to live your life that way, people would know you for that. Like people used to look out for me every single week or every single month. What is doing when I was working corporate? What is doing gonna wear? You really inspire me. At first they might be wondering, you keep changing hair, and you're like, well, that's who I am. That's how I want to show up, right? Wow, your husband must really like you because it's like dating different women, and they make a joke out of it.
That's funny.
And they make a joke out of it. But, I don't think that should restrict anyone if that is how you want to show up. So you need to ask yourself, how do you want to show up? And I know that those comments have made some people to actually, just have one hairstyle forever. Like they're just like, I'm just going to be on low cut, or I'm just going to wear this wig every time to work, and outside of work, I'll do something else. But really, it still goes down to communication. You can even tell your colleagues how, in Africa, you can fix weave, it's extensions, it's not bad to let people know what you're doing. It just boils down to communication as well, and also dressing. There are certain ways I personally will not dress because I don't want to dress like that. I don't want to be, I just don't want to dress like that. It's not who I am, right? And I'll take this back to when I changed the names of my lipsticks. I actually heard words from, like, it was vivid. Change the names of your products to what I want women to feel, the identity I have for women and all of that. And I went back to my lipsticks and I was like, and that was when I was still going through self-discovery, trying to build Adonia. And can you imagine the names I gave my lipsticks? Scandalous, Ruby Red, Dangerous Red. And, and I'm not saying those things are bad. I mean, I probably just, Googled
Mm-hmm.
lipsticks and things that came up. I just put them on my brand until I started discovering who I was. And
Mm.
I started to change those names to I am beautiful, I am unique, I am confident, I am. And I'm telling you, a lot of people actually buy our lipsticks simply because of the names now.
Mm.
If you know what I mean. Now, I'm not saying the lipsticks won't sell if I had still, but it wasn't true to me. I'm not scandalous. I'm not dangerous. You get so everything still has to go. You need to keep asking yourself, how do you want to show up? How
Mm-hmm.
do you want to show up? And you need to also make it as authentic as possible, because
Yeah.
you want to be comfortable in how you're showing up. Some people, when they wear red lipstick, they can't be comfortable, so don't wear red
Yes.
lipstick. Like, nobody
Mm-hmm.
says you have to wear red lipstick.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all about, how asking yourself and being true to yourself. How do you really want to show up? Are you convinced that showing up like this, you're still able to carry out your, especially at work, if you're delivering and you're doing what you're supposed to do, yeah, how you're showing up, you should be able to communicate it. That
Awesome.
this is why, yeah, you know
Wow.
this is just who you are. And I'm quickly going to touch on, also, you did ask a question on Zoom about imposter syndrome.
Yes.
When I was trying to brand against big competitors, how do you avoid imposter syndrome? I'm not even going to sit here and say I didn't have imposter syndrome. I remember just before my launch, um, in 2016, my product launch in 2016, I remember sitting on my bed and thinking, "Ooh," that thought that just comes to your head, like,
Mm-hmm.
are you to want
Mm.
to start a beauty brand that is going to cover all shades? Like, who are
Hmm.
you?
Hmm.
Right? And I started to think, I'm not Mary Kay. I'm not
Hmm.
Bobby Brown. I'm not even white like them. I wish, and I started thinking, I wish I was in Nigeria, where I come from, where I already have a strong network of friends from high school, from university. It's easier to sell. But how am I going to sell it here? Like, this is Canada. How am I going to? Is anybody even going to buy this product? Am I sure I'm not wasting my money? Am I sure I'm not wasting my time?
Hmm.
I just didn't feel like everything I had worked, I had done up to that point, was good enough for me to
Wow.
just come out. And then immediately I started just telling myself, well, um, God has called me to do this and I'm going to do
Yep.
it. I'm going to just, and then I just started, but I was aware. That was because I was aware. But those thoughts definitely came. And what did I
Wow.
do even when those thoughts came? I started going to lots of women events, especially the white dominated ones, wanting to seek approval, like, oh, do they like my product? Do they? Until I saw that, all of these things are not really working. I'm just going to focus on how I'm just going to start to create how I actually want to market this product. And from just, all the marketing strategies, sales strategies, nothing came from Harvard Business School or whatever. It's all just how I feel the product should be marketed based on why I started the business, really.
Wow.
And then
Awesome.
I read Mary Kay's story and I saw that even she started a business based on a belief system that she wanted to promote,
Mm.
which I would call a personal branding as well. That was what she stood for. She worked in a male dominated industry for 60 years. Well, not 60 years. She retired at 60. So maybe 20, 30 something years of her life, where she would teach a new male colleague. And before you know it, the male colleague would be earning more than her. The male colleague would be a manager, and she just felt cheated all through her career. That why are women treated this way? I do know that I have the competence to do this role. I do know
Wow.
that I trained this guy. I'm even better qualified than this guy, but apparently he's earning more than me. What can I do for women not to be cheated? What can I do for women to actually
Wow.
understand that they can achieve up to they can get to anywhere they want to get to in life? So she didn't even start me. She wasn't an esthetician. She wasn't a beauty. The product came after the belief system she wanted to promote.
Wow.
Right? So I was like, this is so powerful. It was after she didn't even know, she wasn't sure of the business she was going to do, but she was actually writing a book to put down after retirement to just let out her frustration about, you know, her career life and, you know, just, you know, how you write a book after retirement. And that was how Mary Kay was birthed.
Wow. Wow. I had no idea.
Yeah, because she thought, how do I connect to women?
Wow.
You know? And that was how Mary Kay was birthed.
Wow. 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 Thank you so much. That is so powerful. And, you know, this is a reality. The imposter syndrome is a reality for a lot of us women. We question ourselves, we wonder, we question what we believe we are supposed to do, especially when it seems unachievable. But thank you for showing us that it's doable, right? And thanks to those who have gone ahead of us. So I hope you're all taking copious notes. In the interest of time, we're over the hour. Oh my God. You know, we have received a lot of questions, but I'm going to just go ahead and wrap up, you know, and just give us an opportunity to, let me fix my screen here. Just, you know, a couple of, just an opportunity to just, you know, give our speakers just, you know, an opportunity to, you know, share one last, you know, thought, you know, if you have anything that's been lingering on your minds. These are this is Paula's, you know, her contact information. There's so many ways on social media that you can contact her. And so you can definitely, the recording of this is going to be available, but is there anything that we're missed that you wanted to just share real quick, 30 seconds for us to round up? Paula?
I'd like to actually just address two of the questions that got asked to me privately, if that's okay, and I'll try to do it quickly. One is, someone asked about doing personal branding yourself as opposed to hiring someone. And I think that it is important to do yourself because it has to be authentic. That said, I'm sure, you know, the Richard Bransons of the world and so on are hiring people to do their social media. So I think it has to be a mix, but it has to stay authentic. And the other question was, can you have a LinkedIn personal page that's really more of a business page? And I would say yes is the short answer. You can only have one personal profile page. So you do, if you have multiple facets of your career, you have to find a way to put them together on one personal profile page, while you can also have a business page, but most people aren't looking at the business pages.
Okay, on LinkedIn. That's a good one.
So thanks for having me here today. I just want to make sure I promised I'd answer that.
That's fine. Thank you. Thank you for answering it. All right. And, you know, you can connect with Paula on Twitter and you can, okay, am I echoing? You can contact Paula on Twitter, Facebook, you know, YouTube, you know, any of these handles here, or her website, www.brandcareermanagement.com. And for Doi, we have her information also here. You know, you can go to her website or on, you know, Instagram or YouTube. Now, I want to say you know, just a big thank you to all of you, to our speakers. You have been amazing. You've poured so much into us, and I can't wait to listen to this recording. Thank you so much for, you know, sharing your thoughts and your experiences with us. At this point, I think I'm going to just hand over, and thank you to our audience for being so engaging. I have not looked at all the messages here, but I see a lot of major engagement, our audience on YouTube as well as on Zoom. So I'm going to hand over to Dolapo, who is going to wrap us up.
Thank you so much, Kemi, Paula, and Adedoyin, for sharing your knowledge, your expertise, both personal and professional experiences. This has truly been an insightful session. Moving forward, this session has been recorded for your viewing pleasure. I have also included a feedback link in the chat box. Please kindly fill out the feedback link. This is just going to take a few minutes. We want to hear from you. Kindly provide us with feedback from today's session. How did we do? What did you enjoy about the session? This is important for our growth. Kindly let me know. You can write done also in the chat box if you see the feedback link. Can you see the feedback link? This is only going to take a few minutes. We want everyone to actually provide feedback to us. Kindly click on the link. Thank you so much. Thank you, Josephine. Thank you, Remy. I see your yes. If you've completed the feedback, just type in yes, yes, yes. I'm waiting for your yeses. Thank you, Claire Hughes. I see a yes. Thank you. Josephine, you don't see the link. Okay, I've posted it right again. Do you see the link now? All right, Paul, I see that. Thank you. Josephine, do you see the link? This is going to take a very few minutes. Thank you, Ogechi, for completing our feedback form. Thank you. This will take very few minutes. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And if you've completed the feedback form, can you type done in the chat box? Completed. Thank you, Jumoke. If you've completed it, I want to see completed. I want to see done. You can give me a thumbs up, whichever one is convenient for you. Done. Thank you, Uche Jadaida. I see that. Thank you. I want to see more done.
So it's telling me, it's not letting me type in it, and it's saying I have to request edit access. And then when I'm clicking on that, it's not really responding.
Okay, you can do it after then. Thank you, Uche. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Adedoyin. Paul, I think you can do it after.
Okay.
Yeah.
I keep clicking give edit request access to edit, but I don't know if it's I don't know if it's sending you a message.
No, not at all.
Okay.
Thank you, Beverly. Thank you. Thank you. Can I see more done? More completed? More thumbs up? Thank you. Thank you. This is just going to take very few minutes. Thank you. Thank you, Fernanda. Thank you. Thank you, Ronke. Thank you, Chidunga. Thank you. All right. So while everyone is completing the feedback form, we just want to use this opportunity to say thank you very much. And also, if today is your first time joining us, on EPR's Women's Network, kindly indicate in the chat box your name, your location, and who invited you. Yes, yes. There's gonna be a gift giveaway. You got it. You got it. So please indicate in the chat box your name, your location, and who invited you. Fastest fingers wins the gift, both on YouTube and Zoom. Fastest fingers. Okay, I have a winner, Claire Hughes. Barbara Hughes invited you. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Claire. All right. Oh, wow. We have a lot of great first-time visitors. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Nancy. Welcome, Nancy. I see that it's your first time here also. That's great. That's great. Welcome, Oluwatobi Titilayo also. Welcome, Yinka Adebiri. Edith Umoli invited you. That's great. Well, you've won yourself an Amazon gift card. Someone from our team will definitely be contacting you. Please ensure that you are using the accurate name that you registered with. Thank you, thank you. So action step for today, you need to write down one thing you have learned from this personal branding webinar that you will be incorporating in your life, in your business, in your career. And you can put this in the chat box also. Welcome, Fernanda. Welcome, Michelle. Thank you, Josephine, for the feedback. Thank you. So next up in our announcements is our EPR Business Directory. Teamwork makes the dream work. That is why the EPR Business Directory has been created to help you share and showcase the business that you have. Your information is safe with us. It will not be sold. This is strictly internal, and it is for us to leverage on each other's strengths, skills, and businesses within the network and help each other grow. In addition, if you're in an industry where innovation and potential growth are emerging, kindly register in the business directory. I am going to post the link in the chat box. Thank you, Nancy, for that great feedback. Your biggest takeaway, the 3 C's: be clear, consistent, and constant with your personal brand. Thank you, Paula. I see your update. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Our webinars are monthly and they are held every 3rd Saturday of the month by the grace of God. So save the date for next month's webinar. It will be held on September 19th. Details on that will be sent to you soon. Also, don't forget to invite your friends and your family or someone you know. EPR Women's Network Insta Live sessions, inspiring conversations. This is where EPR women leaders in their respective fields share their stories and journey of purpose. Our guest next week is Shadi Abidoye. She will be interviewed by our host, Lami Quadri. Kindly join us next Saturday on Instagram at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at Esthers Preparation Room. We look forward to seeing you. EPR Praise. Command the week. Every Monday morning, Esthers Preparation Room gather together to jumpstart the week with a 30-minute intense prayer session to declare the word of God over our lives, to enforce victory in all spheres of life and our nations. Join us as we commit to be a part of this session. We're live on Instagram and on Zoom, 12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 a.m. British Standard Time, and West African Time. The call is held every Saturday. Every Saturday, Esthers Preparation women gather to intercede and stand in the gap for the church and the nations. Every Saturday at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please follow us on all our social media handles on YouTube, Telegram, and Instagram at Esthers Preparation Room. And also, please partner with us. Consider partnering with us. Sign up to become an EPR partner to financially support all our initiatives. On EPR Giving, you can set up a monthly direct deposit, or to support the ministry, please use the following links. Our portals are on Bitly and a Gmail. I am going to type this information in the chat box. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. To everyone who has joined us today, thank you so much for sharing your Saturday with us. Join us next week, Saturday at 12 p.m. on Insta Live for our Insta Live session. Again, my name is Delacqua. It's been a pleasure being here with you. Thank you to all our first-time guests, visitors. Thank you also to our panelists, Paula Brand and Adedoyin. Thank you so much and have a great day.
Thank you. Everyone have a good morning or evening, depending on where you are.